Lesson 10, Interpreting Graphs of Proportional Relationships. Students consolidate their understanding of equations representing proportional relationships as they interpret the points on the graph of a proportional relationship mean in terms of the situation or the context of the problem, including the point 0, 0. Students are able to identify and interpret in context the point 1, R, on the graph of a proportional relationship where R is the unit rate. Grandma's special chocolate chip cookie recipe, which yields 4 dozen cookies, calls for 3 cups of flour, which makes 4 dozen cookies, calls for 3 cups of flour. Create a chart comparing the amount of flour used to the amount of cookies. So here's the number of cookies and here's the flour. So if we have 3 cups of flour, we get 4 dozen cookies. So 6 and 8, 12 and 16. Is the number of cookies proportional to the flour? Well, 4 divided by 3 is 1.3 repeating. 8 divided by 6 is also 1.3 repeating. 16 divided by 12 is also 1.3 repeating. So yes, it is. So every time I either get 1 1/3 or 4/3. What is the unit rate and what does it mean in the context of the problem? The unit rate is 1 1/3 dozen cookies for 1 cup of flour. So you have 1 1/3 over 1. Model the relationship on a graph. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have 3 cups of flour will give us 4 dozen cookies. And 4, 5, 6 cups of flour will give us 8 dozen cookies. Nine cups of flour will give us 12. Now I need to draw a straight line connecting these. There we go. Does the graph show 2 quantities proportional to each other, and explain? The points appear to be in a line that pass through the origin 0, 0. Write an equation. So our equation is D equals 1 1/3 cups of for every cups of flour. D equals 1.3 repeating times flour, or D equals 4/3 times flour, where D represents the number of cookies in the dozen, which is our Y, and F is our flour, which is our X. So I'm just taking my Y equals KX, taking out the K and putting in what we found out before. Below is a chart or graph modeling the amount of sugar required to make Grandma's chocolate chip cookies. Record the coordinates of sugar of the points of the graph on the table. What do these ordered pairs or values represent? So 1 is 0, 0. And that means 0 cups of sugar, 0 dozen of cookies. 2, 3. So 2 cups of sugar will give me 3 dozen cookies. And 4, 6, 4 cups of sugar will give me 6 dozen cookies. Grandma has 1 remaining cup of sugar. How many dozens of cookies will she be able to make? And plot that point on the line. So she has 1 cup of sugar. So sugar, if we have y over x, sugar is our x. So that's our 1. We need to figure out how many dozens. If normally we can get 3 dozen cookies out of 2 cups of sugar. So I'm going to cross multiply. So get 2x equals 3. Divide each side by 2. So x equals 1.5. So 1.5 dozen cookies for 1 cup of flour. How many dozens cookies can she make with no flour? Can you graph this on the graph provided? And what do you call this point? 0, 0. 0 cups of sugar will result in 0 dozen of cookies. We call this point the origin. The graph below shows the time a person can shower with a certain amount of water. Can you determine by looking at the graph whether the length of the shower is proportional to the number of gallons, and explain how you know? Well, it goes through 0, 0, and it's a straight line. So it is proportional. The quantities are proportional to each other since all points lie on a line and pass through the origin 0, 0. How long can a person shower with 15 gallons of water and with 60 gallons of water? So if 15 gallons of water be 5 minutes, and 60 gallons of water will be 20 minutes. And I'm just reading it off the graph. So how did I do that? At 15, it was 5 minutes, and at 60, we went 20 minutes. What are the coordinates of point A, and describe? I'm guessing it says what they mean in the context of the problem. So point A is 30, 10. So we have 5 minutes and 20 minutes for the last question. And 30, 10, if there are 30 gallons of water, then the person can shower for 10 minutes. Can you use the graph to identify the unit rate? Since the graph is a line and passes through 0, 0 and 1, r, you can take the point on the graph such as 15 and 5 to get 1/3. Well, so what we're going to do is we want to know when x is 1. So we're going to have r over 1 equals 5 over 15. Cross multiply. So then I know that 15r equals 5. Divide each side by 15. So r equals 1/3 of a gallon of water per 1 minute. Write an equation to represent the relationship between the number of gallons used and the length of the shower. So again, we need y equals kx. Well, we just found our k, which happens to be our r right here. So it's 1/3. So I'm just going to take out the k and put in 1/3. So m for minutes is our y equals 1/3 g for gallons. Your friend uses the equation C equals 50p to find the total cost of P people entering an amusement park. Create a table. So if there's 0 people, $0, 1 person, 50, 2, 100, 3, 150. Is the cost of admission proportional to the amount of people entering the amusement park? Yes, the cost of admission is proportional to the amount of people entering the amusement park because there exists a constant 50. So every time I take x times 50, I get my y. What is the unit rate and what does it represent in the context of the situation, the unit rate is 50, which is, unit rate is 50 over 1. So that's $50 per person. What points must be on a graph of a line if two quantities are proportional to each other? Explain why and describe this point in the context of the problem. 0, 0 to show that it goes through the origin, and the unit rate, 1, 50 in this case. If 0 people enter the park, then it would cost 0, and if 1 person entered the park, then it would cost $50. Now we need to sketch the graph. Okay, so we have people on the x-axis and total cost on the y. Here's my axes. So we'll have $50, 1, 2, 3, 4, 100, 150, 200. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So at 1 person, it's 50. At 2, it'll be 100. Oops. 3, it'll be 150. 4, it'll be 200. So we have a straight line that goes through 0, 0. Would the point 5, 250 be on the graph? What does this point represent in the context of the situation? Yes, the point 5, 250 would be on the graph because 5 times 50 is 200. The meaning is that it would cost a total of $250 for 5 people to go to the amusement park.